One of the greatest harms that porn does is that it rewires your brain and in essence replaces real sex. Unfortunately, nowadays it's normal that as a young man, you basically grow up watching porn. And in all likelihood, you're exposed to porn at a much earlier age than you have your first real-life romantic encounter. The human brain is very adaptable. It's constantly changing based on what you do, what you consume, and your behavior. So if you think about how all this porn watching affects you, it basically means that you're training your brain to work in a certain way. Let's look at 3 things specifically. First, you're training your brain to be aroused by pixels on a screen. You're connecting arousal and sexual pleasure and eroticism with sitting in front of a screen rather than interacting with a real person. 2, you are training your brain to be aroused by watching other people have sex, because when you're watching porn, it's not you having sex, it's other people. And 3, you're getting used to an extreme stimulation. You're seeing hundreds or even thousands of partners. You're seeing a very quick progression of different people, and often these people are doing very extreme things to again up the ante of stimulation. All of this means that there are going to be problems when it comes to your IRL sex life and romantic experiences. So in real life, you're interacting with one person. It's a real person, not someone on a screen. It isn't a super fast cut and changing angles and changing partners all the time. And you're supposed to be, like naturally, you would be aroused by just touching and seeing another person and seeing them naked. Even that alone would be very arousing. But your porn brain goes, hey, I'm used to something totally different. I'm used to them doing all kinds of stuff. I'm used to there being like 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 people in this scene. And also, I'm used to not being involved. You're used to that external perspective, watching other people have sex, and here you're supposed to interact. So this is why we see loads of young men have all kinds of problems with IRL romantic and sexual interactions. Things like lots of men having erectile dysfunction even at a young age, which means you can't get hard or you can't stay hard when you're having real sex. And unfortunately, it's very, very common that guys have to imagine porn in their heads in order to get off during real sex because the real thing just isn't doing it for them anymore. And there's also something deeper going on here, which is that in porn, there is a total lack of human connection. Porn is teaching you to essentially use and discard people very rapidly. You have all these different performers come up. They do extreme, often dehumanizing things, and you just get off and then discard them. In many cases, you don't even know their names, and you certainly don't have any kind of personal connection. So in this way, porn is disconnecting you from developing a healthy, real sexuality. There's also never any vulnerability involved, and this is actually one of the reasons why guys get hooked on porn. Vulnerability is scary. Many of us have been hurt in real-life dating interactions. Many of us have negative associations, fear and shame and so on when it comes to interacting with women in real life. And the fact that you are always safe, you can't be rejected, nothing can go wrong when you're watching porn is one of the reasons why you're constantly rushing to that for safety. And this brings me to an unpleasant truth that many guys don't want to hear. Because even if you are having sex in real life, quote unquote successfully, you might still be carrying over those really unhealthy habits and you might still be disconnected. In certain circles, men like to brag about how much of a stud they are, and it's seen as like cool or strong to be a player and, basically I can get laid with a different girl every night and I have all these one-night stands. You're basically winning at hookup culture. But if you're winning at hookup culture, is anyone really winning? Because the truth is, if you treat real people in this kind of way where you just use them for your pleasure and then discard them, kind of like you use the people appearing on your screen when you're watching porn, you're still not healed, and this is not healthy at all. You may think that this makes someone a cool player type, but really that's just someone who's scared, because they're still too scared of vulnerability to be able to connect on a real level with another person. In this way, hookup culture is an extension of porn culture. It is like a highly processed, watered down, and then sweeteners added version of what sex is supposed to be. And this is why the Quit by Healing approach is about more than just quitting the habit of watching porn. Because if that's all you do, but you carry all of your bad habits and your sexual shame and your disconnection over into your real life, you really haven't made that much progress. And also, if you don't address these underlying issues and you don't learn how to develop a healthy sexuality and a healthy way to relate to other people, then you're probably going to relapse to porn sooner or later anyway. So if you want to discover the best way to quit your porn addiction, heal your brain, and develop a healthy sexuality, make sure to subscribe and also check the first link in the description that goes to my private Discord where you can get help from me and community accountability on the way on your journey of quitting porn.